where the real talk starts. So take a seat, have a chat, table talk, where the real talk's at.
Good evening, everybody. We are glad you are here tonight. Uh, we are coming to you to talk about why is it, or how do we say that? Why guarding your heart is harder than ever, and how to do it.
Right, right. The last several have been more focused on why to guard your
Yeah,
so, I mean, at some point, it sounds great, like, "Okay, you're telling me what I need to do. How the heck do I get there?"
yeah. It's the steps that we need to take to get there and keep it that way. And the comparisons that I read when I was doing this study, and I'm like, I never thought of this stuff that would cause me to have issues with my heart or my mind.
Right,
Uh,
right.
you know, I always heard people, places, things you see, you watch, you hear, your surroundings. Basically, going to a celebrate recovery group, talk about small stuff. You want to quit drinking, but go in the bar.
As dumb as it sounds, a lot of things really are that simple.
Yeah,
Um, well, it's that simple on the surface,
yeah,
uh, but the biggest part about that is it starts here,
yeah,
you know? There are people that struggle off and on their whole life, so and there are people that have quit. You uh, a lot of the folks that say they have quit, like Alice Cooper, when he talked about his addiction, he will tell you flat out, he's like, "I didn't quit." He just took it.
yeah.
He's like, "There was no struggle, there was no detox, there was no, you know, the fits that go with it." He's like, "This day I wanted it, and the next day I did not." He said, "And there was never a struggle after." But for some of us, we don't always get that opportunity. And the fact of the matter remains is that a person will quit when they decide it's enough,
Yeah.
but you have to make that stand. You can't, you know, well, I'll quit when the time is right or whatever. When you decide you're ready to quit, you're going to have to make that conscious decision. It's not going to just happen when you're not looking, unless Jesus takes it away from you.
Isn't it crazy how when we ask for something from God and He takes it from us, we're like, I wasn't ready for that yet. Give me,
Well, and
ease into it.
right, right, and there are times that happen. Uh,
Like I wasn't done with that yet.
right. Unfortunately, that's where we usually are at with most of our sin.
Yes.
You know, it goes back to the joke of that, you know, little boy. It's like, you keep doing that, you're going to go blind. I was like, well, can't I just keep doing it till I need glasses? You know,
Always, always something to do with the eyes.
well, that has a lot to do with it. And what gets me is we like things in black and white.
Yeah.
Do this, don't do. Uh, and as you go through scripture, there's so many things that may or may not, because for instance, football in and of itself is not bad.
No,
TV in and of itself is not bad.
no.
But anything you do or take in that causes you to sin, leads you away from God, takes time away from God, etcetera, and so forth, can be a sin. But we don't like that because it's not a set black and white, do or don't. Um, and my personal feelings is I believe that the reason we like knowing where that line is so we can toe as close to it as we possibly can without,
Yeah.
you know, or maybe just
Like you brought up the whole football thing, and one of the things it says, audit your spiritual diet. Be intentional about what you consume. If you feed your heart junk from the internet or train your to desire unhealthy things. So basically, watch what you want or pay attention to what you're watching or listening. or browsing on the internet. A lot of people watch football on the internet because 'cause they're at work on their
Right.
phone. Of course, the the football is gonna have a commercial where you're like, "Well, I wanna check that out." Click on that. It's gonna take you to somewhere else, and you totally forgot what you're already doing.
We, as human beings, we're easily distracted.
Yes,
Uh,
squirrel.
me and my brother chat about this. It is so easy to, I've been working. I'm going to sit down for 10 minutes. I'll scroll through some reels and just take a little break. 2 hours later, you don't realize it's been 2 hours.
And it's bedtime.
Right. Um,
Which stuffer? Um, we already had it.
yeah, hours ago.
Yeah,
So we are very easily distracted, and in a lot of ways, very easily entertained.
yeah,
I remember who was I listening to? I don't, but they said something like, you will see in the last day, um, where you will have to struggle to not sin,
right.
but to actually sin or do wrong or whatever is going to be so easy. Like it's not even going to be a conscious thought. You know, it'll be right there and that easy. And you know, I'm sure it's going to get worse, but on that part, we're here.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not the doomsday guy, but it is too easy to say. Pull up your phone, pull up the TV, newspaper. I mean, every source of income. Um,
heck, just go to Walmart.
anywhere,
I mean, it's ridiculous. The mall, it's everywhere.
anywhere. Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere.
The White House.
All over the place.
It I mean, sometimes you'll see it at church, unfortunately, but that's just the way it goes.
Well, it is, and the part that gets me there is, of course, this is a completely different podcast. As Christians, we're going to screw up.
Oh, yes.
The part that non-Christians, don't seem to understand is when and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's okay, you know, but non-believers will see a Christian screwing up and, "Well, you're a hypocrite because you're not supposed to be doing these things," and they're absolutely correct, except for the hypocrite. Uh, if there is somebody struggling and you just happen to see them trip and fall, if you don't know the rest of their life, shut up,
Right.
you know? But on the other aspect, a person is a hypocrite when they tell you that it's wrong for you to do it, but it's somehow okay when they do it.
Got
That
that plank in their eye.
they really do. And when you start trying to justify your own sin, like it's okay when I do it, but you can't, that's where you run into spiritual problems. Uh, and
And that's running God in your heart too. I mean, that kind of goes hand in hand.
well, we don't like being wrong
No, we
and we
don't like
don't
being
like,
told what to do.
and we don't like being judged.
No.
The stupid thing is, uh, years ago, I, I promise this is related, but, I'm at work and, I show up a little bit early. There's some folks outside at the smoking area, and, I'm eavesdropping on their conversation because they were already talking, and one of them brought up, they don't like going to church because they always feel judged. Okay. I waited till it was just me and the other individual. I said, "You need to have the discernment, the self-awareness to know if it's you that feels that way or if you are honestly being judged." I said, "Because if you are honestly being judged, you need to go somewhere else."
Right.
I said, "It's that simple." But I would bet 90% of the time when people who don't regularly attend church, when they go to another church, most of their condemnation is because their spirit is uh, at odds. It's not the rest of the church judging them. It's they are in an uncomfortable situation, and it makes them feel like they're being judged when somebody just talked to you. And a lot of these people, it's really hard to. There's no right answer,
No.
um, because if they go to church, well, everybody came up and they said hi and they shook my hands, but I felt their judgment. Okay, fine. Next week, I went in there, nobody even turned to look at me.
Now you're upset.
Right. So, I mean, you get into a point where there's, like, why don't you just say you don't like going? You know, because if you're going to find, if you're looking for fault, you're going to find.
Right.
Uh, but what I always loved about the whole church things, like I won't go to church. There's hypocrites there. Well, damn, they're everywhere.
How
You go to
dark.
Walmart, you go
Yeah.
to the bank, there's hypocrites everywhere you go.
I bet you go to work too, have a job,
Right.
but you go to work every day.
Right.
That's where most of the hypocrites are.
Like I said, some of the excuses will just like, have you really sat and thought about what you're saying? And I'm going to go with no. Uh, but getting back on topic, how do we guard her? Because there's a million reasons why. You know, so how do we do it?
So Proverbs 4:22, or is it 23? Yeah, I think
I
it's
backed up to 420.
did you? It says, "My son, pay attention to what I say. Turn your ear to my words."
Okay, let's stop right there. What has he been saying,
Face listen to him.
and what's he doing? I mean, this, I'm kind of walking you through this.
Right. Like, don't swerve from him. Don't, go the right way. Go the straight path.
Okay, okay, but trying to think of how I'm trying to do this.
Uh,
We are in the fourth chapter of Proverbs.
right.
Who wrote? Let me see
Uh,
if I can chew that up and spit it out better. Who wrote Proverbs?
it's for women. I think it's Paul, wasn't it?
They wrote Proverbs.
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember.
Solomon.
That's right. Yes, Solomon.
Okay. Now Solomon was known for what reason?
I gotta do my research.
Supposedly being the wisest there was.
That's right.
Okay. So we are 4 chapters in to and Proverbs, like you can interpret there. I'm sure there's a definition for what a proverb is, but generally it is a nugget of wisdom.
Right.
Okay. So we're 4 chapters in. What's he been telling? He's been giving us wisdom.
Yeah.
Just the short and ignorant answer. Um, he starts out with actually, I'm getting too far ahead. Next line, please.
Trying to see what it says about what a proverb is at the same time. Trying to look at that.
I understand.
See, we're on 21.
Well, no, you're really multitasking if one eye is still looking at me and the other one goes down to your screen.
Yeah. I get go cross-eyed. Or that how'd that go? So we're, see here, "My son, pay attention to what I say. Don't let them out of your sight. Keep them within your heart." So, what swerve from the right way, the seventh parental instruction focuses on the anatomy of the discipleship in the ear, sight, heart, and body. Sight, heart, and body. So it's your heart, your vision, and your body. That's like 3 important things of your life. How
Right.
to live. You can live without your eyes, people do it all the time,
You can.
but you can't live without your heart.
No.
Not yet, that I know of. I haven't heard
Well,
anything yet unless,
and in this, we are still talking about that inner being, so to
Yes,
speak. We're
yes,
not talking about the blood pumper.
correct.
As it stands, no, we haven't figured out a way to live without that. Um, we used to think that you couldn't live without a brain, but we've been on social media.
Yeah, that gets really interesting.
It really does.
Some of the stuff that
I
people
love that meme. Like we used to think the lack of information was why people were stupid. Turns out that was not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gifted.
So then the next one, wait,
Yeah, I'm gonna throw it all out there together.
That
starting at verse 20. My son, pay attention to what I say. Turn your ear to my words. Do not let them out of your sight. Keep them within your heart. So, I mean, he's really giving us focus on what I've given you. But more
direction.
than that, store up what I'm giving.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Keep them within your heart, for they are life to those who find them and health to one's whole body. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Okay. Moving on. Keep your mouth free of perversity. Keep corrupt talk from your lips. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths of your feet and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or the left. Keep your foot from evil. So, I mean, Solomon is telling us, and I'm adding a little context here. He's been giving us nuggets of wisdom,
Right.
and he starts Proverbs with the beginning of wisdom is fear of the Lord. Okay. So the more God you take in, so to speak, the more that should show, the more that should reflect. So what are we trying to prevent? We're trying to prevent that, anything from corrupting
Yeah.
things. Okay. Um, you do IT stuff. You can have a wonderful working program, but one corrupted file can screw up the whole mess.
Yes, it can.
You know. And what I always loved is you could get a corrupted file embedded in something that was never related to anything you ever messed with.
Like, where'd it come from? How'd it get there?
Exactly. It's like, okay, I was surfing online using a like Internet Explorer, so to speak. Fine. How did it embed a file in a completely different program of something that I've probably never even opened up since finding the dang thing?
Yeah.
It's like how, and don't get me wrong, there has to be a certain genius to it. It was obviously made to do that.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is the same aspect just brought into modern terms. If we go back to original sin, Eve in the garden, of course, Adam was guilty also. I ain't picking on the women. But what was the original sin? When we get right down to it, God told them not to do something. The devil whispered in their ear, and they did it. But see, actually doing it, in my belief, is not the original sin. They questioned what God told them, if what he told them was actually true. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um, and how often do we do that? Do we question what God's told us? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he says, we're more than conquerors. Well, I don't always feel like a conqueror. Well, Joseph probably didn't feel like a conqueror being sold into slavery. David was supposed to be king. He knew he was going to be king. And he spent, what, 20, 30 years trying to keep the other king from killing him. You know, I don't know if he felt like a conqueror. You know, um, Solomon, of course, he's David's son, had money, had wisdom, had women, power, you name it. And I think it's Lamentations or Ecclesiastes, one of the two. But he goes through the whole spiel and tells you, without God, it's for nothing.
Right.
You know, um, so when we look at this, to guard our heart, to guard our inner being, uh, if we watch a lot of, I'm kind of making this up as I go. If we watch a lot of, like very specifically satanic, devil worshiping stuff, if we're taking a lot of that in, of course, in that aspect, it comes through our eyes. Is there any likelihood that that could corrupt a file?
I feel like it could. I mean, 'Cause you hurt I mean, it may sound weird, I think, in my opinion. I think it hurts watching that too, along with your mind,
Oh, yeah.
because your eyes basically your information.
Well, okay, but like you just said, the heart and the mind. Well, what does Solomon tell us? Guard your heart because all of your life flows from it.
Yeah.
Now, over the last couple of podcasts, and let's see, I've got another verse to add. Jesus tells us um, that the heart is corrupt and wicked.
Yes.
Okay. Um, we have discussed over these other related podcasts. We've all been in love before. Our heart will lie to us.
Yes, it will.
Okay. And I'm not just, you know, I'll bring up relationship aspect because that's where you really get to see the nitty gritty. I mean that's where people get ugly, you know. But Jesus tells us flat out that out of the mouth comes the overflow of the heart. If there is somebody that's always r- just negative, bitter, that comes from here. I mean that's a spirit soul problem. That you could call it a heart problem, but that's not outside circumstances. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so to guard our heart, we take in the Lord, and we have to keep taking it in, not questioning. And we are going to be tempted, plain and simple. Uh, I don't know where we get the idea that, well, I'm a Christian now, and I said a prayer, and I raised my hands during worship, and everything is great now. Jesus himself was tempted.
Yeah.
All right. Um, he tells the apostles, "Hey, it's going to get bad for you." He never said, "Well, it's going to be easy from now on." He did say we'll never have to go through it alone.
Right.
And that is the comfort we have, other than the reunification with Christ. Uh, but as far as, well, I'm going to be blessed and highly favored, and everything's going to go my way. There is not a scripture that guarantees that.
No.
You know, uh, that's going to be a perspective thing. But if you're like really believing in prosperity gospel, you need to read your Bible.
Yeah.
You
And I
know?
believe that God's gonna bless us and provide for us,
Oh yeah, but
and,
that
that's different
doesn't
it's a
necessarily.
different direction compared to what you were just saying.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. A blessing isn't necessarily a financial thing.
Correct.
Blessings can come in many different
Yeah.
shapes and forms.
Yeah.
And, again, talking about relationships, and not just romantic, but friendships, coworkers, whatever. Um, we can all probably think of an individual, and I'm not even trying to put anybody down. Uh, they're no longer in your life, and that is a blessing, because sometimes the blessing is a removal. You know, those who, like the Alice Cooper story, he says he was delivered, and that being pulled away was a blessing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So not every blessing is a gift in which you receive something physical, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes the gift is a removal of something you didn't need. Uh, and like we discussed at the beginning of this podcast, we don't always want to let it go. Yeah. Which in my brain it's and I'm just as guilty. There's no judgment, but is that not stupid?
Us humans, we just
Not the brightest crayons in the box, are we?
know, and that sharpener's broken, so we can't resharpen it, and half the tip is gone.
Well, actually, what is it? Ephesians 4? For the word of God is sharper than any double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So, if we're going to guard our heart, um, uh, I want to say it's Ephesians 5 that talks about putting on the full armor of God, the breastplate of righteousness, and all that. Um, As y'all can tell, we don't have our notes.
No.
Uh, and we really we knew we talked about the direction we wanted this to go, but this is today's is more of a fly by the seat of our pants kind of,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I have some ideas, and one of the notes in here says the strategy is build a gate, not a wall. And when it comes to guarding your heart, uh,
Right, right, right.
and it says Philippians 4:8 kind of confuses me, probably because I'm not. I did about a fly by the seat of my pants.
I understand.
Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent and praiseworthy, think about such things. So if it's of God, it's good, and that's
Right.
that's that's my interpretation.
So Philippians what?
Philippians 4:8,
Okay.
conveniently, it's same as Proverbs 4:23, but still 4.
Right.
Something going on here. 4.
Okay.
Verse.
Going to verse 9,
Okay.
keep putting into practice all you learned and
Okay.
received from me, everything you heard from me and saw me doing. Then the God of peace will be with
That makes sense
you.
now.
So the overall, the short answer is if you want to guard your heart, you have to be so full of the Lord, Jesus, your Bible, everything, like you have to be full to overflowing where there's no room for corruption that you take root. But at the same point in time, it takes a diligence to shut certain doors, to close certain windows, to change the channel. Uh, that way you don't take that corruption in.
Yeah.
And it's difficult because
And it's crazy. It says to build a gate, not a wall. So why a gate? Because a gate can be opened back up.
right.
So you can basically you're setting yourself up to fail again.
Well, yes and no. See, if we completely wall off our heart, then nothing gets in. That's true. Of
I see what you're saying.
course,
Okay.
you're also not
Yeah,
taking in the Lord either.
I see.
But at the same point in time, we are called to operate in love, to love one another, and I'm talking biblical love, not modern
Right.
stuff. Um, we can't do that. You can't operate in love if there's no access to the heart.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Um, and the pain in the butt part about it is suffering comes with that
Yeah.
because people are going to let us down.
Yeah.
Um, we're going to have false expectations. Sometimes it's not the other person's fault. We had
Yeah. We
expectations.
get we get too excited, get too involved.
Right. And the bad news is that's simply part of it,
Yeah.
you know. But the good news is you don't have to go through it alone.
Right.
I mean that's the
That's the
simplest.
most important thing to remember. It's not just you in the process. It's you and God.
It is and should be every other believer out there,
Yeah.
or shall we say practitioner? Would that be the right word?
I think so.
Uh,
What's Marshall County say?
Follower. Um,
Constituents. Big word.
it really is. Good job. Good job.
Don't tell nobody.
I, you're live, dude.
Crap. You're
Somebody
reminding me.
send him a gold star. Um, but no, I mean it's there are aspects where you read things in the Bible, and a lot of people want to say that there's contradictions. I don't believe that there are contradictions in the Bible. I believe that our understanding of what we're reading contradicts itself. That makes sense.
Yeah.
The problem isn't in the Bible. The problem is our interpretation of what we're reading. Um, because in one aspect, it tells you to guard your heart, and the other aspect, hey, you have to love people. Well, I can't do both.
No.
You know. So again, going back to what you said, there is a difference between a wall and a gate. You know. If you wall off everything, then nothing's getting through one way or the other. And the real pain in the butt part there is if you guard yourself completely, if you do the wall thing, it's almost near impossible to take that guard back down.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, don't get me wrong. This is one of them things that it's difficult to wrap the head around because again, guard your heart, but you're going to get hurt because you still have to operate in love. But the aspect is it's not to isolate or shut yourself off from what we would call the world. Like you don't cut everybody off. You don't shut out family members. If you need to, that's a different podcast. I'm just saying
Yeah.
you don't. The Bible is not telling you to completely self isolate and be a one person island.
Right.
That's not what it's telling you. It is telling you to keep your eyes on Christ, to focus on the Word, to focus on the cross, to take in the wisdom, the Bible, God's truth, and you let that be your scale. Okay. Um, just like when Jesus was tempted in the wilderness, hey, turn these into loaves of bread. Jesus knew the word too. Like hey, you can't eat on bread alone.
No.
Um, so that's where we are supposed to be as believers, is so full of the word that even when the word is presented to us in false context, that we understand,
Right.
that it is a false context. Uh, and we need to have that self reflection to know when we're the ones that are wrong. You know, and as a believer, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to.
It
If
says
it doesn't happen, you're doing something wrong.
the devil's got you by the toes.
Yeah, yeah. Because the stupid thing is that you're never going to get to a point of being correct if your starting place is I'm never wrong. Like if you want to grow as a person, if you want to grow as a Christian, if you want to grow in your marriage, any your job, any aspect, you have to realize you're not starting from a place of perfection. Because if you're already perfect, there is no growth,
Right.
you know. Uh, you have to be willing to be wrong, and nobody likes it.
No.
I mean, I don't like it. I know you don't like it.
No.
Uh, but in being wrong is where we learn. Uh, I look at so much of society today, and especially here in what we would call Western civilization, and so many ideologies and ideas and what people think are morally right, whatever. All I see is a removal of consequence. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Um, we grew up in a different generation.
Yeah, we did.
Stupid should hurt, you know.
Yeah.
Now I don't believe that somebody that stole a thing of certs, or I don't believe they should pay for that for the rest of their life, if that makes sense. Um, but on the other hand, if you happen to be one of those individuals that have done some severe wrong, and and don't get me wrong, what I'm saying right now is a worldly view. God just judges sin as sin. I'm over here weighing a legal matter. Uh, if somebody pulled
I stole a spark plug once from Shoparama.
right, well, you're why they're locked in the case now.
Probably. I was 19 years old.
Right.
I'll never forget it. Me and Brett Enoch, I don't know if you remember him or
I
not.
remember. I remember. I do remember. I ain't seen him in a long time.
What's crazy is his dad gave us the money and we still stole it.
Stupid thing is like way back and like it's one of them things where I don't get it. I know it's life. I don't get it, but like kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, me and Brett were tight,
Yeah.
you know? Of course, his family, well, I honestly don't know about his family. I know my family, you go through divorce, you move, things change, and, ended up not seeing him for years, went to different schools and whatnot. When I seen him again, we just didn't get along. Uh, maybe it's my fault, like, I'm not saying that to push, to point fingers or nothing. It's just, boy, we were tight when we were kids,
Yeah.
and, it happened. I get it, but
The last I remember, this is when my first ex-wife got together, they moved to Indiana, I think, with his brother or close to his brother or something. I don't remember exactly how it went down. I remember being in the car with him behind the U-Haul, falling asleep, swerving, trying to stay awake. I remember that much of it.
right, right,
And then last I heard, I know his dad passed away. His mom, I don't it's been so long since I talked to him.
right,
Uh, my ex-wife might know, I can ask her, see if they still talk.
right,
Other than that, I mean, he was a good dude. We had fun together.
right,
Uh, we were we were, 2 peas in a pod, got in
right,
trouble
right.
together.
I understand.
But yeah, I mean, that could be something else that can control your heart and your mind is your friendship.
The Our
I'm not saying
parents.
he did, I'm just saying in
No,
general.
no, in general, that is correct. We did not understand it when we were kids growing up, but being parents now, I remember my parents and grandparents warning me about the company I keep,
Yeah,
and the simple truth is, for whatever reason, we tend to take on the characteristics of the people that are around us, and
the person that they create us to be.
in a manner of thinking, yeah,
Yeah,
if everybody you hang out with is, drinking and doing drugs, there is a high probability that you're going to start it some.
yeah, 'cause you wanna be part of the crowd.
Right. And it's the same thing with perverse language or whatever the case may
Yeah,
be. Um, misery likes company.
yes, it
If
does.
you don't fit into the crowd, you will either remove yourself from the crowd,
Right.
they will remove you from the crowd,
Yep.
or you will take on the characteristics of the crowd. Uh, that simply seems to be how things go. And I know a lot of people love to bring up, well, Jesus talked with sinners and he didn't let it change him. He went to change them, not the other way around.
That's the point of it.
And that's what a lot of people don't get is there were there's several stories in the gospel where we read them and we don't it's hard for us to understand, like the woman caught in adultery. Of course, she was fixing to get stoned, and Jesus told him, "Whoever is, without sin, throw the first stone."
Yep.
Um, Christians and non-believers alike love that. Like, well, Jesus didn't condemn her. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure if you read down a little bit, he said, "Go and sin no more." He never told her that it was all right,
Right.
you know. Uh, Matthew was a tax collector, and the way the Hebrews of the day saw that is he was, oh, what do they call it when you, collaborating with the enemy? That the right word?
Yeah,
Um, but
yeah,
that's how he was seen, as a traitor to his own people, because he was a Hebrew working for Rome, so to speak.
right.
Um, so that's how he was viewed. Um, so and don't get me wrong, if you grow up here in the States, if you have a conservative bone in your body, you understand we don't like tax collectors,
No,
you know? But, the difference is that Jesus changed Matt, not the other way around, you know? And that is the standard that we're supposed to set. as Christians, we are called to be salt and light. Okay. So what does light do? It drives out the darkness and it illuminates. Okay. So there's truth, there's wisdom, there's information, there's the gospel. You know, that's how you illuminate. You become bright. But what is salt? Well, in one context, salt is a preservative. That makes sense?
Yeah.
All right. So what are we preserving? The gospel,
Yep.
the best version of righteousness that we could possibly do, which is still going to be a failure, but that doesn't mean we don't set our sights on those things. Um, but what else does salt do? Flavor,
Yeah.
you know,
It
or,
tastes
or
better.
well, and but getting into it, like when we talk about the company we keep, um, Christians are told flat out not to conform to this world. Uh, why?
Conforming to the world is not of God.
Okay. Well, and I'm just saying that
Yeah.
if the world's not a bad place, what's the problem?
The people.
Well, and that in and of itself,
It's like I heard a song, Tyson James, he said, "Why be with the world when it's against you?"
right,
So conforming to the world, it's gonna be against you.
yeah.
So
The
be with people of God, and I'm not saying Christians,
no,
because
no.
not all Christians are of God.
I I've I used to refer to myself that way, and as time has gone on,
A
I changed my,
follower of Jesus.
well, and that's even that because I used to
Yeah.
call, I used to try to refer to us as believers, and I'm like, damn, that don't do any good. Even the
No.
devil believes,
Yeah.
you know. So I mean,
Even the meanest person in the world believes.
yeah.
I'll just be a follower of Jesus, and
Well,
that's
and
just
we're not very good at that.
no, we're not, 'cause we're
Um,
human.
we are, and something that really rings true to me, and I've brought it up out here before, is the parable of the Pharisee and the tax. Uh, there are a lot of folks either in religion or outside of religion that have a really hard time with religious people,
Yeah.
and I get that because I don't like religious.
I don't either.
There is a
They're
difference
crazy.
between religion and relation. There's a difference between, shall we say, um, an attempt to live a more holy existence versus legalism. Uh, like I said, if all a person wants is religion, there's a million of them out there taking cake.
Yeah.
I don't know what good it's going to do you other than potentially make you feel better.
Right.
Uh, half a star, not recommended.
No.
I mean, it's just when you get right down to it, uh, Jesus is either who he said he was or he's not. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Uh, one thing that I find, you can't have two, how do you word it? You can't have two fundamentally opposing, contradictory ideas simultaneously be true at the same time. You can't have all paths lead to heaven and Jesus is the only way. Those two cannot exist at the same time.
The only way, the all the way.
Right. Um, and it's statements like that. Well, no wonder people are confused and think everything's ridiculous.
Uh,
You create the contradiction,
yeah.
you know. Uh,
He's the way, the truth, the light. What else was it?
nobody comes to the Father except through him.
Yeah.
Uh, but at the same point in time, he is the good shepherd. His sheep know his name,
Yeah.
and they know the sound of his voice. And I would say, if you don't know Jesus, you need to do some self reflection.
If you never heard his voice, you might wanna do some more soul searching.
a lot,
Yeah.
you know, and none of that is being said for condemnation.
Yes.
Um, it's I mean, honestly, I mean, I can take the butthole aspect. It's your journey. Do it how you want to.
Yeah.
Um,
That's how God would do it. He'll let you swing over there with in the vine and
I've always heard that argument. It's like, well, if God loved everybody and if Jesus died for the sins of the world, then why does God send people to hell?
you don't.
Well, there's that argument. It's like God doesn't send people to hell. We do it,
Yeah.
you know. But a lot of the crowd still has a hard time with that argument. And one of the better things I've ever heard is you spend your whole life denying his existence or blaming him for your existence. One, somewhere a lot of times both. But you've rationally, philosophically, academically, every aspect of your being has chosen to live without God.
Right.
And the thought that if there's possibly an eternity that you would be separated from God, that's what you're choosing, you know. Uh, and that's the way I look at it is Jesus through God or both of them. If I don't understand how the Trinity works, so leave me alone. But in all this, we have been separated from God, and He has created a way for reunification.
Right.
If we choose that route, the path is there and it's available. It's narrow, it's straight, and not everybody are going to stay on the path. I mean, the Bible tells us that specifically. Um, but if you choose to not take that path, God will respect you, and that's the part that I always had a hard time with the people that don't understand why God would send somebody to hell. And I'm like, would you rather he forced you into heaven?
Make you do something you don't wanna do.
Right. But either way, all of that.
So it says,
Squirrel.
gardening isn't about isolation, and when we talk about the
Correct.
wall,
Correct.
it says it's about discernment.
Yes.
And I feel like God has given me the gift of discernment sometimes in certain situations.
Sometimes.
And the lesson is you are the gatekeeper. If a thought or a notification doesn't meet those standards, you have the biblical authority to turn it away.
Yes.
God gives us that authority, and that's what a lot of people don't understand.
It is a conscious choice and decision. I'm going to tell a story, and I'm keeping names out of it 'cause I ain't throwing anybody under the bus. Um, at a place I used to work, they hired in a very nice looking young lady.
Okay.
And one of my coworkers, now this was not a side by side. She was not back there with us regularly, but often enough that we seen her, knew who she was, blah, blah, blah. My coworker was having struggles. He's like, I see her. I have thoughts I know I shouldn't have. How do I stop it? And I was like, you in and of yourself can't stop those thoughts from coming into your brain. It's like, you're going to have to explain that. I was like, you, it's like having a dream. You're asleep. You cannot control.
What you're dreaming.
Right. I said, when a thought comes into your head, I was like, now you can fill your mind so full of Jesus that that, those type of thoughts in any kind of normal frequency can lessen. Absolutely. You can do that, but you cannot control every single thought that goes through your head. But the moment you're aware that you're having that thought, you can make the conscious decision to either shut it down or to continue. I'm like, and that's where people get in trouble is they don't shut it down. But the moment you're aware that, hey, I'm thinking inappropriately, I was like, distract yourself, you know. I'm like, what have you got to do? Like start singing, stomp on your foot, you know, pluck a nose hair. That'll get your attention,
Yeah, well,
but it's one of them things where no, you can't. Oh, and he's like, well, I mean, is it wrong? I'm like, depends on your thoughts. I said, there's nothing wrong with being able to see something or someone that you find attractive and appreciating the attractiveness or beauty. There's nothing wrong with that. A sunset is beautiful.
right,
Um, there are people out there who, at least on appearance, are beautiful. A lot of the times, those that appear beautiful aren't that beautiful on a spiritual level.
right.
Some are. I'm not throwing everybody under the bus. But there's nothing wrong with being able to appreciate a thing of beauty. It's when you start getting into luck and letting those type of thoughts go that's where you get in trouble. You and it's the same thing with anything. Like I mean, me and you are hot rod guys. I mean,
Mhm.
there's certain classic cars we like. There's nothing wrong with liking a certain year of Mustang in a certain color with a certain engine code in it.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with it. But when it starts getting you into envy and spite and jealousy, that's where your problems are.
Yeah, I used to tell my wife I would leave her for a Impala, you know?
Right, right.
I
Um,
wouldn't, but, I would say stuff like that. I don't
right.
do that no more.
Well, no, I mean, uh, that's I mean, even if it's a joke, it's no good.
No,
Uh, but the simple truth is, like you know, you shouldn't have done that,
no.
and you've stopped. But like there's nothing wrong with liking the Impala.
Yeah,
Uh, but again, if it starts to be a controlling, now we're back to the football conversation.
yep,
If it's controlling and domineering your thoughts, you haven't guarded yourself. You know, you've put yourself in a position of, I mean, it's technically a kind of lust, but not the romantic sort.
right.
I hope,
Yeah, no,
just,
depends on the quarterback, I guess.
but, and that's why that is one of the aspects of how you guard your heart. You know, you have to watch the content you take in, um, what you hear, what you see, what you read. Um, if it's going to corrupt the file, you got to you got to run that security scan on there.
That virus.
Right, right,
I will say this when it comes to football, and I'm probably gonna get some hate back for this, and at this point, I don't care.
right.
After this year's Super Bowl, I'm not sure I'm much of a sports fan this year, anymore.
I haven't been a sports fan since my middle.
It's been a long time.
Right.
I think the last time I was really into football, the 49ers were in the Super Bowl,
I was several.
and it's Denver Broncos,
Raiders.
Raiders,
Yeah.
Radiator. I can't even say it right. It's been a long time. I think I was still a teenager, maybe,
Right.
or a young
Yeah.
adult, 21, 22 years old, maybe.
Right.
And it's just, I used to watch it all the time. It just don't do it for me anymore. Sports is just not for me.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
And, for the sports fans, there's nothing wrong with being a sports
no,
fan.
no. I'm not saying
Uh,
that. Yeah,
I just caution on it if it rules and controls your life. If if your team loses and, like that's what gets me, like UK people. Holy crap, if they lose a
yes.
basketball game, I mean, their world is shattered for some time,
We
and I
didn't get out
I
of
don't
school
understand.
when we were in high school. We didn't get out after the basketball games.
There was 1 or 2 we did.
Well, maybe, but not nowadays. It's every day, every darn game. It's I almost said a bad word. Every Friday, I mean, whatever home game,
Right.
they had championships. I'm like, we didn't get out of school for that. I don't remember that.
No, no, we didn't either, but there was once or twice, it was a UK game that we got out
I
for,
remember that. Yeah,
you know? But it wasn't the whole season, it was this 1 game or maybe 2 games, something
yeah,
like that. There was something, like, spectacular going on. I didn't care, it was a day I didn't have to go to school. So, I mean, that's where my concern
yeah.
was.
Are we getting out of school that day? Sweet.
Right.
It's like, "Hey, next day off from work is 4th of July. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it." I think it's on a Friday or a
Right,
Saturday.
right. But no, like I said, there's nothing wrong with liking sports and whatnot. To each their own.
Yeah,
But when it can has a controlling, driving factor of your psyche, of your spirit, man, might need to check yourself.
it's like recently, the thing that used to drive me is buffets.
Right, right.
Well, the recent doctor visit kinda put a damper on that.
They almost never have good news, do they?
No. So, yeah, the doctor put me on some medicine, and I gotta lose weight, stop eating all the bad stuff, stop drinking soda, start drinking that Splenda crap,
Right.
stop eating bread.
Oh, no.
Yeah, less carbs, more meat and cheese is what he said. Basically like a generic version of carnivore diet.
Right, right.
I said, "So, buffets?" He said, "No." I'm like, "Aw,"
Well, why not buffets if there's meat?
'cause I gotta do portions. I said, "Well, I could do 1 plate at a time."
I mean, that sounds like proportionate to
He
me.
found it funny, but he just said, "No, you gotta take it easy, lose some weight. You're 5'5", 315 pounds, it's not good." I'm like, "Yeah, we've been talking about that for a while now."
Right.
When the blood pressure said, "You had enough," doctor said, "You had enough." I'm like, "Fine. Guess I get to stay around for the grandbaby after all."
Well, I'm sure you want.
Yeah, I do. Grandbabies.
Right.
Got the grandson, the granddaughter, which we have good custody of her grandson, just don't get to see him as often as we like to, but
Well, they live farther away.
yeah, I live in Indiana, yeah, and, it's, it's challenging trying to eat healthy, especially how
Oh, it is.
expensive it is. They said real cheese and real butter, I'm like, "What's the difference?"
Between real cheese and butter and fake cheese and butter?
Yeah,
Well, a lot, to be honest with you.
country Cocker is real butter, I'm like, "Since when?" It's all about how it's made with oil.
Yes. Um, the stupid thing, and I know we've brought this up on there before, is in our lifetime, what we was told, like we were alive when the food pyramid, like that was pushed in school.
I remember that.
Um,
We were at the top.
right. I remember, like of course, there was a whole, you know, this is your brain on drugs commercial,
I remember that. It's
but,
Brian
you
and
know,
egg.
cutting out, eggs because they're high in cholesterol, cutting out, cutting out real butter because it's fatty and, the margarines, so to speak, are supposed to be better for you. Um, so much stuff, and we discussed salt
Yeah.
before the podcast.
Sea salt's supposed to be better for you, stuff like that.
Supposed to be.
The pink
Um,
stuff.
what I have actually started using from time to time, I have my daughter pick it up when she goes shopping in weird stores, is Celtic salt.
What is that?
You've seen, like, the pink Himalayan salt?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Celtic salt is it's still salt, uh, but it's different from, it's not like what we get in the store, iodized salt. Yeah,
yeah.
uh, it's not that, it's not the pink Himalayan, but it is a natural form of salt, but it's supposed to be one of the more mineral rich salts you can it's actually supposed to be pretty decent for you as far as salt goes.
Huh,
And, I'm like, "Well, I just wanna try it," and the problem I have is, just to be honest with you, since, we can discuss our fatness, is, the shaker she got me, the pieces are a little bit bigger and they don't stick to my tater tots very good, but as far you can taste a difference.
yeah.
Uh, it is a little bit different. I don't know that it's a world of difference, but I'm like, "Well, if there's some kinda health benefit because I eat salt," you know, I'm like, I might as well eat a healthier salt.
I used to drink it. Not literally, but,
Right.
enough, like McDonald's
No.
french fries.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I get it. They don't taste right without
No, no. Just like the sweet tea don't taste right without sugar. It's like he told me to drink unsweet tea. I'm like, "What's the purpose of having
Do you
unsweet
tell him
tea?"
to go back to Chicago?
I
Like, "We
said,
don't need none of your nonsense down here.
"I
Get"
li I like a little sugar in my tea." He goes, "Do you taste the tea?" I'm like, "No."
Like, well, the sugar's wet.
Yeah. This is a funny conversation, but he goes, "In the end, we gotta get serious about this." I said, "Yes, sir." And a younger guy telling me how to do my own weight loss. Fine. But when your face is tingly and your left arm's going tingly,
Right.
it's time to do something about it.
Or possibly
Yeah, yeah, well, tomato, tomato, or potato, tomato, whichever you wanna say it.
no, if you wanna get fancy, next time you make a picture of sweet tea or lesser sweet tea, slice a lemon in a half, chunk it in. Slice a lime in a half, chunk a half in there.
Hmm,
And do that, like pour your sugar in, throw them halves in there, and then get you a few sprigs of mint, actual mint. Throw that in there, and then pour it the hot tea, like if you boil it or microwave it, pour that in there hot on top of all that. Stir it up, fill it up with water, stick it in the fridge, let it the lemon and lime,
try
they'll
that.
they'll add sweetness,
Try that.
and the mint is
Try that.
it,
Well,
they say certain things like, certain flavors, we were discussing before the podcast, like, especially when it's really hot outside,
yeah,
the mint actually seems to help with the, refreshening, if that makes sense.
right.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, a lot of times I've got little flower planters out front just growing mint for my sweet tea.
Try that out. Well,
I'm weird.
much as I hate to cut this short tonight,
So, guarding your heart,
guarding your heart. It's basically
fill it
saying,
full of Jesus,
full of Jesus, watch what you say, watch what you eat,
and
and watch what you eat or
hold
watch.
every thought, feeling, whatever your heart's telling you to do, hold it captive and compare it to the word of God.
Yes, exactly what that said.
That is the bigger aspects of guarding your heart
Yep,
is, uh, God's not gonna tell you to do something that God told you not to do.
right.
It's that simple. So, if you got this feeling, "Hey, I need to go commit adultery," that's not from God.
No, that's from that little Mickey Mouse over there.
Right, right.
Anyway, but, yeah, we
So,
will
I'm shutting up, he's trying to get out of here.
yeah. We will see y'all next week. Pray for us, we'll pray for y'all, and we
Absolutely.
don't know what's gonna be said next week 'cause
We don't
we don't know what God's laid on our heart yet. Y'all have a good night, and God bless.